Hi, friends. So I was sitting in meditation this morning, and it was like I channeled a voice from somewhere, basically saying, talking about the distinction between psychological reality and existential reality. Sadhguru talks about this a lot, and I've found his kind of emphasis of this and his descriptions of this to be really impactful on me. His kind of he repeatedly points out that we spend a lot of time in our psychological reality. In other words, what we identify with is our mind. I think I am my thoughts. It's like Cartesian, I think therefore I am, turned into a global culture. And existential reality, if you say, well, I live in existential reality, there can be this notion that that's somehow esoteric, or that that's somehow abstract and undefined. But this is where I love both what Sadhguru says and what Chogyam Trungpa says, which is that connecting with that underlying consciousness of existence is the most ordinary thing for a human being to do. It's not, or at least we are not served by thinking of it as a pinnacle of spiritual attainment. That perspective turns our existential experience into something rarefied, into something that we have to that our psychological mind is going to think we need to continuously reach for. We're clambering to get a glimpse of the existential, trying to claw our way up the mountain of spiritual ascent. And so what came through this morning was just pure and simple, a pure and simple recognition that meditation is it's the practice of connecting with existential reality. And initially, the way we go about doing that is by observing our psychological reality over and over and over and over again, and just noticing that we are observing it. Maybe we have a practice of saying, I am not that, noticing our thoughts. And anytime we notice a thought, we can say, well, if I'm noticing this thought, there's some other, then I can't be this thought because I'm noticing it. So I am not my thought. Next thought, I am not this thought. The living in a psychological reality sort of, I think when teachers talk about that, what they're saying is we are identified with the contents of our mind. Our reality is composed of mind stuff. And so that's how we live. That's the place we engage the world from, and that's what we feel our reality is. And our biology ends up determined by that. How stressed we feel is determined by what's going on in our mind, by how much stress there is in our psychological reality. This is why when we see really powerful people, really highly realized people, they can deal with the mind all day and be incredibly focused, and they can exhibit whatever level of exertion is necessary to the tasks at hand, but then they can very immediately quickly put it away. They just put the mind aside. And it's because there's a reservoir. It's because they're not identified with it. There's an existential sense. Existential as in existence. I exist. And this is what was showing up for me this morning. I was the voice, the big booming voice that I talked about, basically was like blasting into my head. You spend all day in the psychological realm. So prioritizing the connection to the existential, and basically this is like to translate it into simple terms, meditate more. Making that a priority is a big deal, because how's our center of gravity supposed to shift? How's the locus of our identity supposed to move into a place, into where we are identified with the underlying existence, which again is so ordinary. It's the most obvious thing in the world. It's the thing that has never been in doubt throughout our entire life. We have never doubted that it's there. Because it's impossible to doubt that it's there. Our mind can, whatever figments of imagination or whatever, illusory projections of what that thing might be we can then doubt that those are real, and we can doubt that we have access to those because our access is restricted. Those may or may not be reflections of anything substantial. But our simple beingness can never be in doubt. And kind of withdrawing from that mental momentum and settling into because existence is like an ocean. Existence, I think the reason why it feels like such a stress relief and why, meditation, go read any study on meditation. Meditation relieves stress. Well, why? Especially when we start meditation, it feels like it doesn't relieve stress. It's giving me anxiety. It's making me realize I start meditating. I go to meditate, and all of a sudden I have all these thoughts blasting into my head. Well, guess what? They were there before. You just didn't hear them. And that not hearing them and continuously blocking them out is what we call stress. And now you're seeing them. Now we're seeing them. Little by little, we can say, well, wow, these are all here, but I'm not that, 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 I'm not that. It's like raindrops. And there's this giant ocean. I'm not sure what triggered this in me this morning. But the truth is, that space is opening up. There was a really beautiful moment in the Shambhala meditation training a few weeks ago where the teacher spoke about walking meditation as a kind of halfway house between sitting meditation and the rest of our life. Because of course the intention of spiritual practice is to be able to connect with that vast source, and ideally not only when we're sitting on a meditation cushion. Ideally we would then be able to carry that into literally every moment of our life. So we spend all 24 hours of every day in an existential, in our existential reality, in an awareness of an existential reality, and identified with our existential reality, not constantly being pulled up into the mind, or I don't know if pulled up is the right image, but like the mind grabbing us and kind of being back in a mind-based identity. But the fact is, when sitting, meditation is a good place to start, but then you go and do anything, and the biological conditioning, psychological conditioning, the sensorium, the intrusions from the sensorium bring us right back into the mind. They bring us right back into the mind as the functioning agent for those environments. And so we need something where we can practice bringing that depth, bringing that immensity, bringing the ocean up off the cushion and into movement. Very conscious movement without a whole lot going on. Don't text and walking meditate. So we want to go slow. And eventually we ought to be able to text and be connected to the universe, but one step at a time. A lot of times those habits are going to have to get dissolved over time. They're not going to disappear because of one taste of oneness. Anyway, this is what I'm receiving. This is what blasted through my head this morning, and I think it is creating a sense of, it's almost like throughout my day, I can breathe this in. I can be getting revved up, or I can be whatever's happening in my life can be happening, but I can go, all of a sudden I'm in a totally different space, and whatever's happening might still be happening, and I might still have to deal with it, but it's not a problem. It's not, or it might be a problem on this level, but it's a problem on this level. It's not an all-consuming problem. So that was what the cushion gave me this morning. So thanks for watching, folks. Much love. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow.